Hi, everybody. I'm Michael Ruckman, President and CEO of Synteo. I'm here today with Joe Pine, the author of The Experience Economy and several other books. We don't have time to list them all. Sorry about that. And we are happy to be here at the Retail Congress with the Middle East Council of Shopping Centers and talking on the topic of resilience and optimism. But Joe and I we've prepared a few different things to talk about. Joe, you and I have known each other since 2006. You've obviously been talking about experiences as an economic offering and the experience economy for over 20 years. The experience economy of the book is now in its third edition, which came out before the current pandemic, which is interesting. Yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about your feelings on the experience economy and what fundamental experiences that apply to shopping centers, shopping in general, and retailers.
Well, the most important thing to understand about the experience economy is that experiences are in fact a distinct economic offering, as distinct from services as services are from goods. It's basically when you use goods as props and services as a stage to engage each and every individual in an inherently personal way, and thereby create a memory, which is the hallmark of the experience. And of course, shopping is one of the primary experiences that we want as human beings, because we are social beings. We want to be around other people. And what's going on is really this bifurcation of the marketplace into online digital shopping. I mean, and this has been growing, of course, for 20, 25 years, and physical retail shopping. And the thing is that you have to give consumers a reason to come into your store beyond just buying the stuff that's in there, because they can buy that more cheaply on the internet at greatly less cost and time. And so you have to give them a reason to come in the store, and that reason is the experience, staging an experience that engages them around the core offerings that you have.
Wow, that's great. Now, some would say that COVID-19 and everything that it brought along with us has killed the experience economy, or at least we could say that it's more difficult to engage with customers and engage them emotionally if we're doing it like this, or if customers are on a website as opposed to having human contact, or so on. How do you feel about that?
Well, you have to agree. I mean, there's no doubt. It is the experience sector of the economy that has been devastated by the corona crisis, as I like to call it. You know, whether it is food and beverage, going out to bars and restaurants, whether it is shopping, it's movies, sporting events, plays, concerts, anything you can name, right? Any place people want to gather is a place nobody wants to be right now because of this pandemic. But we still crave experiences. We are still, again, social beings. We want to be around other people, even if it is physically distant. So right now we're shifting our experiences. We still want those experiences. We're going to have those experiences, but we're shifting them from out there to in here, from physical to digital, from communal to familial. And so it's video streaming and video gaming and conferencing via Zoom and this that have all video sharing that have all been greatly uplifted by the corona crisis. And so it is a matter of we have to get that to come back. You know, I am very optimistic on the long term, because we're not going to live without experiences. Again, we crave experiences. So when we get to the point with herd immunity via one or more vaccines, that then people will come back. If you look right now at sort of any place that opens up, you look at bars and restaurants, so they open up to 25% capacity, you know, the government allows that. Guess what? There's 25% capacity in there. Right now, bars and restaurants can't make money on 25% capacity, but the demand is there. And so as things get eventually, right now we're in a hot spot again, but eventually with vaccines, with herd immunity, as it begins to go down and we can open up to more and more, the demand will be there. So it's a matter of preparing for that demand.
There's a lot of preparing. I mean, I would say for shopping centers and retailers, this has been a massive test to their resilience, just in some cases economically, just to stay afloat. But in other ways to work on engagement. I mean, we've been working with clients throughout this whole thing over Zoom. I got to say, it's not that easy to engage with clients over Zoom, but we've found ways to do it and to be interesting and to be effective in this format.
And there is an amazing amount of innovation going on in that, of tools that you can use on top of Zoom that people are really pivoting to make it better than it was, at the beginning.
Yeah, and you mentioned gaming, which is really interesting because we have our 15-year anniversary for Centeo coming up, and we've been struggling for the last couple of weeks to figure out how we could throw a company event and how we could get everybody engaged in some games. And it turns out there's a whole list of games that are now popular for like group games over Zoom for people to engage, which is really, I found it interesting. But as I said, this has been a test of really not only economic elements, but the test of the resilience of shopping centers and retailers. What do you think they should be doing now? Or what are the things that they should be focused on while we're still very much in the middle of this?
Well, there's three things really that companies should be doing during this midst while we're still in this Corona crisis. And number one is to refresh your places. Right now is the time to literally go out and give things a paint job. Use your people to be able to improve it so that when people come back, at whatever level they come back at, you have that great first impression that you don't turn them off where they think, well, what have you been doing for the last 6 months or 9 months or 12 months or whatever it is. And part of that is embracing what I call safety theater. That number one, you have to make people safe in your places, right? They're not going to come back if they feel unsafe. You have to be safe. And that's, first of all, starts with your employees. If they don't see that your employees are safe, then they're not going to feel safe themselves. If your employees catch the virus, well, then you're going to give it to your customers. So you have to be safe, but then you have to make them feel safe, right? And that's the theater aspect, to demonstrate, to show that you are all a part of refreshing your places. Then you need to redesign your offerings. And this is where you need to think about, how do we go beyond mere goods and services that are being commoditized all the time to stage engaging experiences. And it's a key element of the 2020 re-release of the experience economy. As we talk about 5 elements there, is you want your experience to be robust, cohesive, personal, dramatic, and even transformative. So you can focus on those 5 things. And so that when people are there, they get that out of it, that they have a robust experience that engages them. They have a cohesive experience that hangs together. They have a personal experiences that recognizes they are individuals, not just part of the masses, that they have a dramatic experience, rises up to a climax and then comes down again. And even in many places, experiences that can in fact transform them, that can help them achieve their aspirations. You think about Lululemon and Peloton and others that are like that, to help people become more fit. And that's why they're buying the goods, the services, the experiences to have those. And then, so refresh your places, redesign your offerings, and then renew your capabilities, right? Is the other key thing that should be working on now. And this is where going digital and having hybrid models, I think, is a key element of it. People do want to buy digitally. They want a contactless delivery if they view it as a mere service. And so you need those capabilities. But it is one that you can then create even a better experience in your place if you move some of the demand off there. So you've got more space, you've got more things that you can do. You recognize that people who in fact will come into your store or into your shopping mall, it's because they want the experience, because they could have gotten it contactless. And if they didn't choose that route, then these are, we could say, qualified customers. They want an experience. So how do we engage them in the theater that we create inside of there is a key thing. And to be able to interact with people digitally. One of the things I'm telling retailers all the time that for some reason so many don't get is that if it's worth it for you to have a live salesperson with a customer in your store, guess what? It's worth it to have a live salesperson talking to a customer online. Why do we think we have to just merchandise things and put them up there and leave it to self-service? Why do we have to just use chat bots and that sort of thing? No, let's get one-on-one with people and have that real live experience digitally that they can get in the store. And I think, like with all these innovations that you just talked about with Zoom and so forth, there are ways you can even make it a better experience than what they can get in store if you do it well, if you have that focus on the experience that you create.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, just one thing that came to mind as you were going through those, I mean, are there any examples or case studies that you've seen of, I guess, over the last 7 months or so of shopping centers or retailers that are just doing it right, like just they've just hit the nail on the head in this period of uncertainty.
Yeah, I can think of a couple of retailers. One I'll mention is Ideal Company in China, is a jewelry store, right? So they have a jewelry store and they got locked down before anybody else. And when you get locked down in China, you're locked down, right? And so what they did is that the sales reps actually got on WeChat and they started broadcasting from the store. Right, so they use the store as the stage for them, and it's sort of like home shopping network type stuff, but go around, show off all of the things that they have. You can zoom in, you can create a particular notice around different items that they have and so forth. And then when somebody wanted to buy or talk about buying, they could drop down into that one-on-one chat. So they're doing this digitally over WeChat. And I think it's a great way of doing it. There's a company I know of actually called LuxLock that is creating an experience platform for retailers where they can create their own basic stage that they have outside of the store where they can control the entire experience, design it specifically for that digital, and again have the real conversations with people about showing off their stuff. Another retailer I think it's one of the best retailers I know in the world. Is Wingtip in San Francisco. It's a men's store. They only have one unit, but I love them because what they did, I mean, they actually read our book, the previous edition, the founder, Ami Arad, did, and he got to the point in chapter 3 where we asked, what would you do differently if you charged admission, right? If you're staging experiences, if people value the time they spend with you, so charge for that time. And he figured out how to do with the men's store is that he created the Wingtip Club, which is the top 2 floors in the building that he rents out. Where he has a full restaurant, a full bar, a pool table, a cigar lounge. They have all these events and experiences that they have. And so people go to the Wingtip store, they learn about the club, they become members of the club. People, when they become members, buy more from the store, and they're paying that, like a $3,000 initiation fee and $700 per month for the Wingtip Club membership. Now, of course, it closed down in San Francisco because of the crisis. So they were one of the first I saw that really started doing, very good things. So they created, they would allow you to come pick up meals and then they deliver meals, but they make them more experiences in a box, right? That you don't just have the meal, right? It's like in these styrofoam containers, or whatever. Well, how do we make it an experience? Like opening up an Apple iPhone, right? That box opening experience. They want that to happen whenever they get a meal from Wingtip. And they started doing Zoom happy hours and where members could get together and socialize online. They had their chefs give out master classes. They had cigar classes, whiskey classes, and so forth that they now started doing online. And they did everything they could to really keep that connection with the membership, because the worst thing that happened is people say, okay, we're just going to cancel membership because I can't go there. So what are all the benefits that I can get delivered to me, whether physically in the experience in a box or digitally via Zoom? So I think they really did it right. And now they're allowed to open up again to a small limit. So they're starting to do that while maintaining the digital delivery for when people want it.
Excellent examples. I think that'll be helpful to people. So what do you think maybe some key lessons that should be learned from this period of time that we're dealing with the pandemic, or opportunities that are even coming up in the future? I know you've already said a couple of them, but maybe just to close out, key opportunities or key lessons learned, key takeaways in your opinion.
Well, yeah. So most of the stuff I talked about, I think apply here. One thing to go a little deeper on sort of the hybrid model is to recognize that your store, and this can be the entire shopping mall and shopping center, can be a stage for experiences that are delivered both physically and digitally. And I think what's going to happen is that people will have physical, basically every physical experience you have, live experience. There's no reason not to be able to now broadcast that digitally and maybe get an order of magnitude more people that want to experience it, right? As you get better and better about how to do this and how things flow and how to promote them and broadcast them and so forth. And then one of the key elements I think to add there is what I call Twitchification. Right? If you're familiar with Twitch, which is the application that people use to be able to watch video game players playing video games, right? So they have their direct experience of playing video games. You have all these people watching them play video games, right? It's something that didn't exist 10 years ago, but millions of people are now doing this. But what Twitch really does is that they add all this social elements, that people are talking to each other, they're commenting. They basically, many people become announcers of the game. Like you have sportcasters that announce your football game or whatever it might be. They are announcing the video game and doing things, and people are following them and then being able to comment both verbally and chat and so forth. So they really do create an entire social experience around it where you have a better experience than if you were there live. Right. And that's the key thing, is that's the goal, is how do we get people who are accessing our live physical experience digitally at the same time? How do we get them to have an even better experience? And I think the social aspects is the key to that. And then the next level, you can think about how you can film what you're doing and then offer it to people online later, members in particular that are paying a membership fee or for some sort of admission fee to the experience. And then you can always edit all those videos of everything and then put them out on YouTube and other social media so that people wish they had been there at that live event that you did, and then generate demand for the next one that you're going to do. I think that's the core hybrid model that's being developed today.
Absolutely. Perfect. Listen, Joe, I'm conscious of the time. I want to thank you very much. I think this has been helpful for everybody that's watching right now. And thank you.
It's my pleasure, Michael.